Hello, and welcome to WGU Live. Today we are celebrating teachers, and we have some amazing guests joining us in a moment. We will be taking questions from all of you watching at home or wherever you may be, so make sure you put your questions in the comment section and tell us where you're watching from. Our first guest is Megan Reese. She graduated from WGU with her master's in instructional design and has been teaching for 15 years at middle school, no less. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Jasmine Franklin. Jasmine graduated from WGU with her master's in learning and technology and has been teaching now for 4 years at elementary education and as a special education resource room teacher. Welcome, Jasmine. And last but not least, we have Lorenza Scriver. Lorenza is currently working on her bachelor's degree in special education and is in her 4th week of demonstration teaching. However, Lorenza hasn't been a newcomer to the classroom. She's been a paraprofessional in special education for some time now. Before we get started, I have a favor to ask of all of our online viewers. We want to give away this swag bag right here, filled with goodies. Please share this live video and then type share in the comment section. When we reach 100 of our viewers, we will send a swag bag as a thank you gift to a lucky winner. So let's get started with some interview questions. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you to become a teacher? And Jasmine, let's start with you.
All right. What inspired me? Growing up, my grandmother, she was my 3rd grade teacher, and then again, she was my 5th grade teacher.
Oh, wow.
But it was the coolest thing. I loved it. I look up to her so much. And so from 3rd grade, I was like, I want to teach too. And so just, yeah, my grandmother.
You fell in love right then.
Yeah.
How about you, Lorenza?
I've wanted to be a teacher since I was 7 years old. Like, hands down, that's what I wanted to do. Both my parents are teachers, my grandparents, I have aunts who are teachers. I just knew, like, that's what I was going to do when I was going to grow up.
Kind of like a family tradition that
It
you're
is
carrying on.
Yes, I heard it's in our blood, the teacher.
Okay. Megan, how
Well,
about you?
the earliest I remember was when my sister asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I told her I wanted to be an artist. And she looked at me with her 8-year-old wisdom and said, Megan, artists starve. and, and so the practical side of me went, oh, okay, I'll be a teacher. And but it wasn't until I went to Utah State, and I knew I wanted to major in business, but I didn't know what to do in business. And they introduced all the majors, and you could do accounting, you can do, they listed them all. And they said business education, and I was like, oh, because then I can be like theatrical and funny, and I can use my theater dramatic side, but I get to teach something practical that people will use. And I just knew that was what I was going to do. So it wasn't as early as you guys. I wasn't sure, but I think every little kid wants to be a teacher at some point, But it wasn't until I was just lucky. I happened to pick one of the only colleges in the state that had a business education program by total chance. And but that's where I ended up. And I still remember that first day teaching. I was standing up there teaching those kids, and in the back of my brain, I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I am so lucky. I picked the best job ever. I can't believe I found something that is so perfect for me." And I still feel that way.
Well, that leads me into the next question, and so I'll start at the end and work our way back. What is the best part of teaching for you?
It's just seeing that growth on the students, the smiles when you connect, like, they're struggling, and you're trying to help them, and then you figure out, okay, this is how I can help you. And when you help them and they get it and they get that smile, and you're like, yes, you got it. Like, it makes your whole day, just your whole week. It's the best part about teaching is seeing that smile, like they're getting it, they know what they're doing.
And you've made a difference.
Yes, you know that you're the one that helped them.
How about you, Jasmine? About the same, or?
Yeah, about the same, just seeing that growth. So I work in elementary school, and some kids come in not knowing their alphabets or not knowing their letter sounds. And then at the end of the year, maybe they're able to read a sentence or read a story. And it's so cool because you can tell they are just beaming with joy because they are able to accomplish that. And I feel good, and it's just awesome feeling.
So then, Megan, back to you. Started this part.
I had time to think. So
Started this part of the conversation. You said that you couldn't believe, I'm so excited. This is like the best thing. What's the best part for you now that you've been at it for a while?
I teach business, and I love my subject. because I feel like I get to teach kids stuff that they are going to use. When I teach them how to balance a checkbook, I'm like, you're going to use this. Like, you know, that's one of the things, the hardest things with middle schoolers, like, why do I need to learn this, you know? And I'm like, oh, I'll tell you exactly how you're going to use this. So I love that practicality. And I had a student come up to me last year. I remember I just finished my really short accounting unit, just a quick dip into it. This is what accounting is. And he came up to me and he said, I always thought I wanted to be a cop, but I want to be an accountant.
Oh, wow.
I really like this. And man, that was like the best day of my life. To be like, I actually helped this kid find a new direction.
Discover a passion.
Yeah, that he didn't know he had. Because these
Exactly.
7th graders, they come in, they all want to be football players and dancers and stuff like that. And that's fine, but it's fun to let them see that they have talents in other areas that they didn't know they had.
That's
And that's what
fantastic.
CTE does. That's why we're here. And so it's always a high when you get to them, when they get it. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it might be that you teach, when they understand and they understand why they're doing it. That's the whole point of school, is to figure out who you're going to be. You know.
So let's, for our listeners out there, let's flip that on its head. That was the best part.
Oh, no, I hate this.
What's one of the challenges, or the biggest challenge you think, in being a teacher?
It's perfect. No, I was kidding.
We could all agree on exhaustion. Exhaustion's a good word.
Yeah, definitely.
Time management, learning how to manage your personal time, but also your time in the classroom, like making sure that you're transitioning and getting everything in that you need to get in without rushing, and then having time to grade and having time to go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah, that's
I think time management can be really, really difficult.
Did you agree?
Yeah, time management, bathrooms, and you play so many different roles. You're a counselor, you help them with double dutch, you are a teacher, you make sure that their hands are washed, you know, so many different aspects.
And anything to add to that,
And it's
Lorenza?
kind of like they say, you have your contract hours, you know, the hours you're supposed to be there, but they're not your hours. Like, at my school I'm at now, teachers are like, yeah, we'll stay till 5 or 6. That's normal for us. You know, they get done at 2:45. Like, they can go home at 3:15, but since they have so much to do, they're staying till 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, just getting everything done. Yeah, and then being like, even when they go home, they're still doing stuff. You know, and they're still coming to work early, and it's just, it's a never-ending job. You're never done. You can never just go home and relax.
So when people say, teaching, you know, either it's who'd want to be a teacher, but we've already addressed that, okay? It's a wonderful profession to be in. But on the other hand, they say, oh, you guys have it so easy. You've got the summers off. How do you respond to that?
Have you tried it for a day? Just try it for a day and let me know what you think. But they say summer's off. Yeah, but, you know, we have summer school. You know, a lot of teachers take up that.
Professional development.
Yeah, professional development.
Yeah.
We're getting the curriculum now and developing it, saying, okay, how are we going to teach it throughout next year? How can I modify what I taught this year to make it next year better, to make the students understand it more?
I always say to that, I mean, I love having my summers off, don't get me wrong, but this is the way I put it to people. Summer is a 10-week forced unpaid leave. And so as much as I love to have summers off, I'm not getting paid for those 10 weeks. And how many of those people that are saying, well, you get summers off, would also take a summer off if they weren't getting paid? It's not like I have a choice in the matter. If I were to work a full year, it's probably why teachers don't get paid very well, because we don't work a full year. We're working 9 months instead of 12. And so we could make a lot more if we didn't have our summers off. Now, I'm not saying we all want to give it up at this point, because it is a great thing. You get a lot done. Okay, I didn't get anything done this summer, but it was fantastic. But it's unpaid. And so it is time that we do professional development, do all this other extra stuff. And for me, I get to be a stay-at-home mom, and I get to be excited when school starts again, especially when my twins were babies. I was ready to go back.
There you go.
Working is a lot easier, I think.
Jasmine, anything to add from your perspective?
I
Or did we
think-
both cover it?
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
I used to remember, because I was a teacher as well, I taught kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and eighth grade Spanish. Okay. But I remember that my summers were really spent, as you said, preparing for the next year and thinking about, oh, how would I do that differently from what I did last year? You know, so it wasn't really having it off,
Yeah.
as people would think. That's not
Definitely.
really part of what it is. So when things get rough, What pulls you through? I'll leave it as an open question. Who wants to go with that one?
Well, I have a great host teacher who I can talk to. Like, if I struggle in a classroom, I can go up to her after and be like, okay, that was really bad. This is what happened, you know, and I love her. She's so supportive. She'll give me tips and ideas. You know, and I also have a mom who's a teacher, so I can call her like, I need to tell you about my day. It's a vent. But also one of the things I try and do is like, I love Zumba. I love dancing and singing. And I try and go to that at least twice a week, like a Zumba class, just to get that stress off. Just like, this is my time. I'm not doing homework. I'm not doing lessons. I am going to dance, and I'm just going to, you know.
So it's taking care of yourself.
It is, yeah.
And having someone as a sounding board.
Yeah.
You have to set boundaries as a teacher. I'm one of those teachers that, in fact, this last year, I was doing so many extra things. You know, I had an after-school ballroom team. I was in charge of the talent show. I was, you know, I was helping with the school musical. And then this year they gave me 7 periods, and I finally just went, you know what? I'm going to drop all of that stuff. and because I had to. It just got to the point where I was doing so much that I wasn't getting that time. And you got to be able to say no. I mean, be willing to say yes. It's also frustrating teachers that won't say yes and do anything extra. Don't be a teacher if you're not willing to do extra stuff. You're in the wrong profession.
But also know what your own limits are.
Yeah, but be willing to say I can't do that too. And so, you know, I refuse to grade at home. I don't. I find ways around it. I will not grade stuff at home. That is my time at home. I do not answer parent emails unless it's an emergency at home. If I get a parent email, I'll quickly email. But if there's a big serious thing, I leave it for work. I want to be, when I'm with my family, and that really helps a lot. If you take your work home with you, it can be really exhausting.
It can take over your life. Jasmine, any thoughts?
Yeah, so many. I like how you brought up talking to a colleague. Our school feels like a family to me. It's like wonderful having people going through the same thing. You know, if I had a tough day, it's nice hearing, oh, I also had a tough day, you know, and people there to encourage you and yeah, just keep pushing you forward. I think also priorities. What are the things that I need to do, and then what are the things like that I can just kind of let slide. And then if it all fails, you just take a nap and you wake up and you're ready. I love naps. Yeah. After nap, there's no problem.
I believe in
I have no problems.
So, what do you think is the most important quality that a teacher needs to have to be a good teacher or an effective teacher? What's to keep in mind?
I've thought about this question. I think you need to be genuine.
We talked about this already.
Yeah, it was my answer.
I didn't want to steal it because it's a really good one.
You need to be really authentic. I'd say in your interactions with the students, because they can sense if you're putting on a face, you know. And so letting them know if you're feeling sick that day, or letting them know that you really care and that you're genuinely interested in their life. And I think, yeah, just being authentic helps them. You build a rapport with them.
Well, if you look back on your own education, you don't remember a lot of individual lessons. You know, you can't be like, oh, this. I mean, there are a few that I remember that made an impact, either because they were really bad or because they were really good. But you do remember how the teacher made you feel. You know, and you remember how that you got excited in that class. You might not even remember what made you excited, but you remember you felt excited. And when you go to pick the next class, you're like, oh, should I take this business class? Should I take this theater class? You'll remember, oh, I loved that class. Why did you love that class? Was it because the assignments were so well written? You know? Or was it because the teacher helped? For me, I wasn't the kind of person that wanted to feel loved by the teacher. I know that sounds weird. Like, the teachers I remember are not the ones that made me feel loved. Because I don't know that any teachers ever took a huge interest in me. It was the ones that taught me something I could use. And that gave me something that helped me later. And so I guess that's why that's my focus as a teacher, to help them find something they can use. Because my favorite teacher, she probably doesn't remember me. I don't care. She taught me something I could use. She was the most practical teacher I ever had. I've used her lessons every day. And that's the teacher I want to be, you know. And so I think that's important that you, I don't know, it just depends on what your focus is.
Connect it with the student
and
their lives.
Connection with them. And it doesn't have to be like, I'm your best friend. You know, I was saying earlier, I have 300 kids. I can't make the connection you guys can in elementary school. I teach a class called College and Career Awareness, which is required for every 7th grader. So I get every 7th grader in the school. That's 500 kids a year, plus my other classes. So, you know, the 8th and 9th graders, I teach them other classes. So I can't build that relationship with every single kid, but I can relate to them and connect what we're doing with what they're going to need later, and explain to them why they're going to need it and how they're going to use it. And boy, when they realize that they're going to need it, they sit up and they listen. You know.
Anything to add, Lorenza?
I just show my kids I care. I'm fortunate enough that like my biggest class is 10 students, and so I've taken their workbooks, and I like when I grade them, I just put "good job," "yay," or "awesome," you know, on every page, and I didn't think they noticed it. Like it's just kind of me. And I had one kid tell me the other day, he's like, "I really like how on every single page you grade, there's a positive note. You know, you always say something positive. You're always positive with us." And I was like, well, you guys, I love you.
Thank you.
It kind of just makes you feel like, yeah, I'm in the right field. Like, I'm doing what I love, you know. I look at those kids like my own kids. They're my kids. I don't have any of them. I just adopt them.
And nobody ever knows when you're a teacher if you're talking about like your kids
Yeah,
or your students. Like, which kids are you talking about? Like, I don't know.
Everyone's like, do you have kids? No, these are my students.
Yeah.
But they're our kids.
Yeah.
We always think of them as that way. So let's turn this a little bit to Western Governors and your experience with it. What was the best part about your experience in getting your degree from Western Governors? We've got 2 that got advanced degrees, and you, Lorenzo, is working on your bachelor's. What's the best part of that experience for you?
I have to say, like, the mentors are so amazing and helpful. Like, there was one who I was working on studying for a test, and she just sat with me and was like, how do you study best? Like, what would help you best? And I told her, like, well, I like to talk to myself. I talk to myself all the time. And she's like, well, when you're taking, you know, the test and you have that camera on you, if you talk, they're gonna ding you. She's like, what if you whisper? Do this. And it was things I never thought of, and I've used them in every single test since. You know, I've had another mentor who I failed the final assessment, and I called him crying. I was like, what do I do? I thought I failed the class for sure. I was like, I'm done. We failed this class.
Isn't that the beauty? You
Yes,
don't.
it is.
You get to do it again.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
He was like, you know what? We're going to study again, but we're going to study a different way. And I'm going to call you every single day, and we're going to go over this today and this today. And I was like, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, I recommend Western Governors to everyone.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, I'm like, go here. They love you. They care about. I mean, I don't know if they love you. I feel love. I do. I feel loved by like my mentors. You know, they honestly just care about you, and they know you have a life. Like,
It sounds like some of that is translated into your teaching as well.
Oh yeah, I think
You know, I was telling my students just today, in my keyboarding class, I said, you know, no one's ever going to ask you if you get an A in keyboarding, but they are going to ask you if you know how to type. And that's one thing that's kind of helped me with Western Governors was their philosophy makes me a better teacher when I employ it in my classroom. When I say, it's not about what grade you get, it's about what you learned. Did you learn the material? Can you actually do this? And that's how Western Governors is. Now, well, you failed, sucks to be you, you know. They're like, let's work with you. Let's figure it out. You know, and so now I'm like, well, maybe I should be that way more with my, looks like you failed the test, oh well. Making sure my kids get it, that they understand it before they move on. And it's hard to do, and you're not going to win with every kid. I mean, that's just a fact. But that whole philosophy should be used in every university. Why is that not standard in every school in the country? Instead, it's all about getting your stupid A. Who cares about your A? Do you know how to do it? You know?
Can you apply it?
Yeah.
Jasmine, any thoughts on your experiences?
Yeah, I'd say for me, I definitely think that the mentors, like, they cater to your needs, because coming into it, I don't like a lot of support. I was like, I want to finish in 9 months. This is what I'm going to do. I need you to help me. And so she was like, okay, I will call you if you need it. And I was like, you can call me every other week, actually, because I'm just very much like, get it done.
They'll adjust.
And they adjusted to my needs. And so I didn't feel like any pressure. And I was able to just knock it out.
You.
Yeah, exactly. But I also know that if I did need help, with anything, that there were so many options of people I could call or email, and they would get back to you right away.
Never get in a regular
Yeah,
basis.
it's awesome.
Not ever.
And my mentors like even text me, and I've texted her like in the middle of the day saying, I'm stuck, what do? I need help, or can you point me to these resources? And she's on it. She sends back so much stuff. I'm like, you're awesome. you help above and beyond, and you know what I feel like I mean, your job is to help, but you go above and beyond that. You really make sure we have everything we need to succeed.
So the ways that I'm hearing that Western Governors has inspired you, both as a learner and as a teacher, what are some ways that you inspire your kids to learn?
Oh,
And probably,
gosh.
Megan's going, oh gosh, but I think with middle schoolers, it might be a little rougher.
Well, you know, no, because they're old enough to like, I don't know. Elementary school is beyond me. I do so much more with middle school kids. You have
Contrary
to be
to popular belief.
be passionate and excited about what you teach.
Mm-hmm.
When you're excited, they're excited. You know, I was teaching HR yesterday, like how to interview for a job. We were rolling. We were laughing our butts off in that class. You know, we were having so much fun in there. And the kids didn't even realize they learned that day. And so I think enthusiasm is a huge part about it. Don't ever let yourself be.
And that in turn inspires the kids.
Yeah, it inspires them because it gets them excited.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not excited, why in the world would they ever be excited?
Turn to page 15.
Yeah, and I don't use textbooks. I mean, if I had to teach another subject, maybe I'd have to, but in my area, anybody uses a textbook when you have a computer lab is beyond me. I don't know why you would do that. You have a computer lab, why would you do that?
Any other comments about that, what you use to inspire your kids? Your students?
Use candy. I know.
You were right on that one.
Folks at home, don't listen to her. No.
I try to make the classroom like a conversation type. You know, it was funny. As long as the kids are on topic, I kind of let go, and if we're talking about something, I keep going. And I remember it was funny, like when WGU, when they came in to observe, you know, it was that kind of conversation type of day. The kids were rolling, they weren't raising their hands, but we were talking about things, we were getting engaged and deeper in the meaning. And when we were done, my host teacher came over, she's like, I promise she has a lot more better classroom management than this, you know. The kids are supposed to raise their hand, and the guy's like, no, this is good. Like, the conversation was good. It was on topic, it was flowing, and that's how I like it, you know.
That's like your dream as a teacher. It's hard to get
It
that
is.
sometimes.
Especially
with middle schoolers, first period.
they're asleep. And even at the end of the day, it's kind of hard, and that's when I have, for 2 class periods, I have to keep them motivated, and, you know, I'll just be like, all right, guys, let's get into this. We're going to learn about whales today, and I try and find facts about whales on my own to tell, you know, like, this is cool, like, they're cool creatures, and then they get excited.
Anybody else? Anything?
Yeah, I was thinking, well, if I use candy, I probably end up eating more of the candy than I give out.
One for you, two for me.
Yeah, I focus a lot on just growth. And I think a lot of my students get discouraged because they're like, I am way back here and you want me to get here? And so I'm just like, as long as you do better than we started, you're good. And I think it's cool that I've been able to go back to school because I'm like, oh, you have to study? Oh, I have to study too, you know? Like, can't use that excuse.
Well, to remember
you
what
know?
it's like to be a student.
Yeah,
For me, it has been so long that I'm like, oh yeah, tests.
Yeah.
You know, I give tests. I don't take tests.
Yeah, I'm
you
like,
know?
what is this? What are they doing?
It was good for me to kind of brush up and remember what it's like to be a student and to know
that's
what
a
it feels
good
like to
point.
be them.
Yeah.
I show them my checklist. I'm like, you want to do it? Here, I'll switch you guys. And then they look at, no, we'll do
ours.
So it looks like we're getting ready to take some questions from our online audience. Please put your questions in the comment section and we'll answer them as best we can. But first, take a look at this video from WGU graduate Julie Young.
My dream was always to be a teacher. I wanted to be teaching. I wanted to be helping, especially the underdogs. Those are the ones that I'm most passionate about, the kids who don't have a voice, the kids who need someone to encourage them and believe in them. After graduating high school, I was working as a Head Start teacher. I loved it. Like, I would literally walk out with this teaching glow like, this is amazing, like, I want to do this. Then life kind of took some turns. I went through a really tough divorce. My boys were older. I was needing to provide for them. And I was like, you know, I either continue with jobs that either don't pay well or I go back to school and get my licensure. But then I met Jason. His encouragement, his belief in me, his ability to dream when I couldn't see that dream for myself is why I'm a teacher today, pursuing my dream. While I was in the midst of getting my degree, I worked as a paraeducator in a class, and a virus was going around in that classroom. I got hit with the virus and an ear infection and got very sick. One day I woke up with vertigo and I couldn't even get out of bed. Everything was spinning. I couldn't function at all. And it felt like my ears were all plugged. When I went to the doctor, he said, there's probably nothing we can do, and you're most likely not going to regain your hearing ever again. Having this disability has helped me to empathize with students with disabilities. There are so many students out there with silent disabilities that they can't come out and say, hey, I have autism, or I have hearing loss, or I have issues with processing, information. But I love the fact that if done right, teaching can truly change everything. And so I get to come to school and inspire kids and make someone feel like they can do whatever they put their mind to.
Tonight is not the end of our learning. No. It is just the beginning. Find your champion, and then go ahead and be that for someone else.
There is nothing more exhilarating than being able to set a goal for yourself and realize that you have successfully completed it. And yes, it's going to be hard, but looking back and just taking that first step is so worth it, and say, I did this, I accomplished something.
Welcome back. Joining us is Rhett Barney. He's a senior manager for enrollment here at Western Governors University. Rhett is here to help us answer some of your questions. Also, if you're thinking about applying to WGU, we have an application fee waiver code for you today, which will save you $65. So use the code WGU Teachers, no spaces, when applying. And if you have questions, you can contact enrollment at 866-225-5948. And there will be a screen that'll show that during our presentation. So welcome, Brett.
Thank you.
We're going to answer some questions that have come to us online. And so, do any of you have a master's from WGU? And if so, what area? And why did you choose that? So, Megan, let's start with you. You have your master's from Western Governors.
I was going to get my master's back in 2007 at a different university, and I chickened out and decided having a baby would be easier. It's not, by the way. And so then I discovered Western Governors University, and I did get my master's there in 2017. And I chose instructional design. And the reason for that is I love writing lesson plans. That's kind of my focus. I have a store on Teachers Pay Teachers, and that's been going for a long time, which I love doing. And so I wanted to do something that would help me write better lesson plans, and it absolutely did that for me. Like, my capstone was perfect for that.
Yeah. And you got your master's in instructional design?
Did I say it wrong? Instructional design. Sorry.
No, I'm just repeating for...
Yeah, it was instructional design, which is something that any teacher can get. It's not specific to my area in business. And it was wonderful. I do a lot more pre and post assessments. I'm paying much more attention to if they're actually learning it. And it really has changed a lot of the methods and the way that I teach. So it's been very useful to me and made me a much better teacher.
Thank you.
And designer of lesson plans, for sure.
Jasmine, you got your master's from WGU as well.
Yeah, so I got my master's in learning and technology. And our school, we just got a grant where each student has access to a Chromebook. And I think that technology is super beneficial if used the right way in the classroom. And so the degree really helped me pinpoint my students' needs and see how can I guess, utilize all of these tools to help them grow. And so that's been great.
Great. Well, Lorenza, it looks like we have a question for you. How are you getting by in student teaching with no income?
Yes, 4 months student teaching, no, an unpaid internship. So I was fortunate. Last year I worked for the Park City School District, and they do a pay salary to where you get paid till August, so you get paid through the summer. So that helped. But what I actually did was in April, I went and got a second job tutoring, and every single paycheck that I've got from there, I just put it in a savings I couldn't even touch. Like, this is for student teaching, I'm not touching it. Yeah. And I also had family who's helped a little bit. I have a supportive boyfriend who's helping. We put money away together. But yeah, I went and got a second job and put all that money in a savings account.
No credit card.
Nope, no credit card.
Go girl.
Yeah.
There you go. Anything to add to that? No? Okay. Well, I would like to point out that we do have teacher scholarships at Western Governors. And for paraprofessionals, classroom aides, applying teachers eager to start the journey, they can go to apply for that scholarship by December 31st of 2018 to help them with their journey. So how long did it take you to find a job after graduating?
I don't know that applies to any of us.
I'm still.
Yeah, I got my job right out of my bachelor's, so it didn't really affect that.
And I mean, I changed positions at my school, but I'm still at the same school I was teaching at. So.
I will say it was pretty fantastic when I finished school in November, well, it was actually October of 2017, and that December paycheck was fantastic. You know, to get this sudden pay increase was amazing. So
Because you got your master's,
because I got
which
my
led to the
master's, and
pay
I was at the the levels. I was at the bottom level. I'd never had any. I hadn't done anything extra. My husband was in school, and so to go from that big jump was, I mean, let's just say my pay raise was much bigger than the cost of going to school. You know, 1 year and $6,000, and I got a pay raise much bigger than that. And granted, that's because I had 15 years. I had the time, but. You know, that was definitely worth it. I can say that for
Jasmine, how long did it take you to get your master's?
About 9 months.
Woo, good for you.
Yeah, but again, I had my schedule. And it was mostly because of finances. So I was like, the quicker I finish, the less I have to pay. And so it was great.
Exactly. How about you? You're doing your bachelor's. How long into the program are you?
It's been a while. There was a year where it was really rough, so I actually didn't get done as many classes I had. And I was one of those people, the 12 credits a semester. I knew I could have done more, and if I pushed myself, I'd have done more. I just had life get in the way. I moved 3 times, you know, just had family things come up, and so it was hard to get more of those in. So it's been,
Okay.
5 years?
5 years.
Yeah,
5
like I
years.
said, more than I wanted, but.
So it really is a self-paced.
It is,
You can go as
yeah.
fast as you want, or you can, you know, slow down and take your time, and WGU was responsive to that.
And they really understand, like, if you call and say, I'm moving, like, I have to move in 2 weeks, I'm not doing any schoolwork done, or I'm going to be pushing it.
And your professor in a regular university would not care.
No.
They would not help you.
No.
So there is a question online about how did you get through the hardest classes or the most unmotivated times as a student?
The hardest classes, like, I knew, for me, history was my weak point, and that there was a Constitution class, and I knew that was going to kill me. It was going to be hard. So immediately I got in contact with the course mentor, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how much time I want to spend in this class. Can you send me study guides? Can you help me study? Can I talk with you through this class? And they did. They are, like I just said, they're amazing. They will call you any time of the night, any time during the day. And just unmotivated, there were times I was unmotivated, but being a paraprofessional, being in those classrooms where other teachers were teaching, I want to be the teacher. I don't want to watch someone else teach.
Yeah.
I want to teach. So that kind of pushed me further. Like, I don't want
Remembering your goals
Yes,
helps you to
exactly.
get through those
And
times. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think for me, because I love being a teacher, I'm a horrible student. I like zone out.
Teachers
I
always
do
are.
not like being a student. And so I was like, do I really want to go back to school? But when I did, I planned out my schedule. I need to allot this amount of time for studies within my schedule. And as I broke it up like that, it felt doable. And I started in the summer, and so I already had summers off, and so I treated it like a full-time job and was just able to knock it out.
There you go.
That's
So
what
it was awesome.
I got so much done.
That was the most beneficial time.
For me, I did the first class, like the first session, like the first 3 months, whatever, was like super easy because it was writing for me because it was just what I was good at. It was writing lessons. Like, oh, I can do that. I love writing lesson plans. So I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm going to zip through this. Then I got to the research section, and I was like, sources, APA format, what, which was really good for me to learn that because I have to teach that to my students. So it was good for me to have to actually do it. And that part I slowed. It was harder. And I do not know how to get through without my mentor and the professor. I mean, when my mentor would talk to me, she couldn't answer my questions. I'd go onto the website, schedule, okay, I want to talk to the professor at this time. You could always find a time to talk to the professor. She calls you, and you just chit chat. She explains everything. Oh my gosh, you cannot get that in a regular university.
So
You cannot
then,
get that.
what I'm hearing is, if you're not finding that motivation in yourself, just reach out.
Yes. Yeah, they
There's
always will
somebody
help
going to be there for you.
And they have, and it's not just the mentors. I mean, I didn't use this resource much. I don't know if you guys did, where you could go onto the site and there was people talking and you could ask questions and
Course chatter?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
course chatter. I didn't use it as often, but it was there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other things besides just calling the mentor.
And I guess I had a lot of friends who were also going to the program. And so we were like, hey, let's just have a study group. And so getting together with people in the same kind of stage of life is helpful. But
So some people are wondering, do you feel completely prepared after WGU?
Yeah, WGU, so they made you first watch 60 hours of different videos in different classrooms, and then you had to go in the classroom and observe, I believe, 60 hours, and you had to teach students, and now I'm spending 4 months in a classroom. And my host teacher, it was interesting because I was there, school started August 20th, I was there August 20th, bright and early in the morning, and she's like, are you going to be here every other day? Are you going to be here once every couple weeks? I'm like, no, I'm with you Monday through Friday. You're here, I'm here. And she's like, I love that. Not a lot of universities do that.
That was not my experience. Was that your experience?
no.
Not even
Not for
60 hours
observations,
of watching. I didn't do that. I would have felt way more prepared
Yeah.
if I'd had that.
Yeah, and I feel prepared, and teaching, it seems long, 8 weeks in a special ed setting, 8 weeks in a general ed setting, but I feel like I can teach it. I am teaching the class. Like, I do have my host teacher, and she'll interject or she'll help me sometimes, but I'm like, I got this. I know what I'm doing, and I know how to write a lesson plan. Like, I'm so excited.
It feels like a real teacher thing to
It
do.
does. It really does.
Like you're there. When
And
you write
writing the
lesson.
objectives, like in Granite School District, I know every school now they're implementing targeted learning objectives, so you have to write those every day. And I was like, guys, I know how to write them. I know the 3 standards. I know, how to make it pretty. Like,
That's fantastic. What is one piece of advice that you would give someone on his or her first day of demonstration or student teaching?
I would say, first I would say, contact the teacher before. Like, if you can, go and meet them before. Like, with my host teacher,
Good idea.
Yeah, I met him twice before the school even started. I was like, hey, if you need help setting up a classroom, getting materials prepared, let me come in and help you with that. And I just got to know him on a one-on-one basis. No kids, no anything. And then on that first day, you just go in and do it. Just go in and be prepared for anything. Anything can happen, but be going prepared to learn and just love what you do.
All right. Any other thoughts on that? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's
I'm like trying to.
I did that once.
Yeah, I think just don't put so much pressure on yourself. For me,
We
take
know
it a
you
step
put
at a
pressure
time.
on yourself.
Oh yeah, we know that. Yeah, in certain times of life.
8 to 8:05. Say hello.
Yeah, but then I'm like, oh, and then I taught the wrong topic. That's okay. We're gonna do the right one tomorrow. And so knowing that it's okay to make mistakes, you will make mistakes, and you'll just move on from it. You regroup, and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just
Great.
know, sorry, I just thought, no, you got this. Like, if you went to WGU, they've prepared you. You know how to write lesson plans. You know how to write objectives. You know what you're doing. You just gotta go in there with all the confidence in the world. Like, I'm gonna be a teacher, you know?
They think you're confident.
yeah,
So
the kids.
don't let them know otherwise.
No, fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
You make it.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Someone here is saying that every time they tell people that they're going to become a teacher, they get such negative responses, and sometimes even from teachers themselves. What advice do you have for her or him
Okay, I have to tell you this story. So
to stay motivated?
in high school, it crossed my mind to be a business teacher. And I went up to my business teacher and said, I'm thinking about doing what you want to do, what you do for a living. And she looked at me and she goes, why? She totally shot me down. I later taught her son my first year. It was kind of funny. And he loved me, by the way. So I'm glad I didn't listen to her. She's a really nice lady. Like, I still know her and everything, but she's had a bad day, I guess. But it is amazing how people can be so discouraging about this career. And you can get sucked in sometimes by those teachers. Like when you say, go talk to the other teachers, and you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be those ones that get
lift you
so
up.
distracted by the money or the lack of it thereof, that's all they want to talk about. And to me, teaching is a privilege. It is a privilege. It's just like when you're a parent and you get to be the first one to take your kids somewhere and show them something for the first time. Like, that's the best thing as a parent, to be like, hey, I get to show you Goblin Valley. I get to read Anne of Green Gables to you.
Yeah.
So when you're a teacher, you can do the same things. I'm teary about thinking about it, but you got to do the same thing. You got to be like, listen to this. Oh, I'm a horrible takeover. I'm awful. I can't even cry. It's so stupid. But it is very exciting to get to be the one to show them something new. And that, if you can keep that and remember it every day, that keeps you grounded. And also humor. Humor.
Sense of
Use
humor, yes.
as much as you can. It will diffuse every situation. And most of the time people are negative. I don't get negative back. I don't usually cry. I usually will just be like, yeah, I love my job. It sucks to be you. But make it a positive. I mean, I always say, I love it. I love my job. And they're like, oh, okay. And they kind of shut them down a little bit. But
Would you add anything to that? Any new advice to give?
Oh, that was
I
great.
know, I'm crying.
That was so
I'm
great.
sorry.
Well, it's so passionate.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not getting embarrassed now. I just cried on TV.
Yeah, because it's hard, but what things worth doing are hard, you know. And just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's bad. It's a wonderful, fulfilling job, and you feel a lot of there's a lot of weight because you do have these young minds that you're molding, but it's I don't know, it's hard to explain. But it's wonderful. I love it. So.
And if you want to be a teacher, be a teacher. Like, I've had teachers tell me, growing up, I was like, I want to be a teacher. Like, you get paid enough. And I was like, honestly, the money has never occurred to me. Like, I even have teachers now saying, oh, I have to do this and this and this, and I just don't get paid enough. I'm like, guys, I don't even think about it. If I didn't get paid anything, like what I'm doing now, I'd still love to teach. I'd still be there every
You'd find a
day.
way to do
15
it.
years later, I feel the same way. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It was nice to get paid more. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I do.
I never felt like, I'm like, you knew. You knew when you signed up for teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
Exactly.
complaining about? You knew that was the
all
price you're
about
going to
the
pay.
money.
Yeah.
To me, every job has a price.
Yeah.
Every job has a price. I tell my students that all the time. I teach careers all the time. And I'm like, I was willing to pay the price of having a job I love. Maybe I get paid less, but I get to love what I do every day.
Yeah, and that's me. Like,
That's
I'd
the
like to
price I'll
get
pay.
paid, but I'm going to still go up every day, and I'm still going to love my kids and love teaching and just love what I do because it's,
But you know what? I've been teaching 15 years. I have my master's degree. I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
I'm not poor. I'm not going to complain. I make over $50,000 a year. I'm okay. I don't need more than that.
Yeah.
That's not what I signed up to do. I mean, if I wanted to make lots of money, I would have been a doctor, except I could never have been a doctor. don't have it in me, but that's okay.
Well, another one of our viewers is asking, do employers respect WGU as a school? And I certainly have my answer to that, but I'd like to hear from you all. And from our enrollment counselor, Rhett.
Yes.
So who wants to start? And we do have a copy of the annual report that's linked in the comments, so people can turn to the annual report to see that. But how do you feel employers feel about your degree from Western Governors, and do you feel it's respected?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
got my
I
papers.
took, I was like, I took my transcript to the district and.
For us, we already had a job.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a little, I mean,
different.
we were already there.
Yeah.
So I can't know, I mean, I don't know from personal experience as far as they accepted my credits and I got my pay raise, so. And a lot of them were like, oh, I went there too. You know?
Yeah.
I think they are. Like when I went to Granite, I know I had to go to their district office to get a ID badge, and I remember talking like, "Oh, you're another WGU student." You know, like a lot of WGU students are coming to them and doing the student teaching. So I think they're recognizing, you know, WGU, they're producing the teachers, and we need the teachers. So we'll. If you
Any thoughts on the respect of Western Governors?
Yeah, I've been with WGU for about 8 years. So in the beginning, you would run into a few, but every year we get more and more graduates, and every year, especially here in Utah, we run into them. But as you talk to people throughout the country, all of them are saying, "Oh yeah, I know somebody who graduated from there," and because of the amount of students we now have, most people have heard of us, especially in the teaching ranks. So it's definitely a great place to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm the academic vice president, which is basically the dean for Teachers College. And one of the things that we do each year for Teachers College now, as a part of our accreditation, is that we send out employer surveys and we ask, you know, how well prepared do you feel that our Western Governors candidates have been?
You do know the answer to this question.
And we get answers that are really convincing. And we also send out a Gallup poll and a Harris poll to ask for employer satisfaction with WGU graduates. It exceeds the national average for any other institution. So I think that the growing lesson there is that employers are becoming more and more aware of Western Governors, of its approach being competency-based and self-paced and online, and there are far fewer of them that are skeptics now, that they've seen the results, and they have graduates, and they've employed graduates, and been very pleased with the outcomes. So I think we're very well respected. In addition to that, Teachers College is nationally accredited, as is Western Governors, and 95% of the programs that we offer are currently nationally recognized as meeting the standards of the professional associations. So if you're a special educator or an elementary educator or a math educator, the national association associated with that discipline area has already recognized Western Governors programs as meeting the professional standards. So I think we've got a lot more to offer than people might think. Just saying, oh, well, you're online, and they might associate some Western Governors programs with other online institutions.
We are not the same.
But we are not the same. We are not for profit, and there's a lot of good to be said. Rhett, there's a question here that's directed to you, which is, what are some of the popular graduate programs as Western Governors for already licensed teachers?
Yeah, our Masters of Education, Instructional Design is one of the more popular curriculum instruction, as we mentioned earlier, Learning and Technology, Education, a lot of the Masters of Math and Science. They're all very popular, but mostly our Masters of Education are keep us the busiest.
Yes. So how nerve-wracking was it going into a classroom for your field experience in demonstration teaching for the first time?
It was more meeting the students that were more nerve-wracking. I was like, what did they, I mean, they were middle school, and for the longest time, even going into this, I was like, I'll do my 8 weeks in middle school, but I am not a middle school teacher. The attitude and the kids, they're taller than me. You know, that's the one big thing. You know, and I was like, they're gonna like trample all over me because I'm too nice. I know that. You know, so it was really nerve-wracking. But then just getting to know them and be like, they're kids. I can joke with them. I can say things I would not want to say to an elementary kid, you know.
That is so true.
I love it. They're not my best friends or anything, you know, because I'm obviously the teacher, but I'm like, I have a connection with you guys. Like, I can tell you stories, you know, and they'll respond and they'll listen to me. So it's, yeah.
So it's more like connecting, focus on the kids.
Yeah, just focus on the kids. Like, you're going to be nervous the first week. I just sat there watching my host teacher, like, you want me to do this? Like, you can just keep teaching.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, I know it was a long time ago, but I feel like every time I get up there, I'm on a stage and I'm performing, you know, like a performing monkey sometimes. But I think, honestly, if you really want to know, take a theater class and substitute teach. I think those are like such great preparations. Because I thought I wanted to teach high school. And then I substitute taught and figured out very quickly that my personality and all my little tricks work so much better with middle school kids than they ever did. High school kids are a mystery to me. I always say middle school kids act like they don't care. High school kids actually don't care. So I prefer to teach middle school kids for that reason. But I didn't know that. You know, we have perceptions of what it's like to teach middle school or high school or junior high. You don't know until you're there. And even subbing, it's not the same when it's your classroom, but it is a good way to prepare yourself.
And it's a good way to gauge what you like and don't like. You know, I subbed for a little bit, and I didn't
Maybe
mind.
in someone else's room, right?
You know, I didn't mind middle school. Kindergarten is an absolute too young, too unfocused. It was hard for me to focus. In high school, like I said, I just didn't get them, and they were all taller than me, so I was probably a little intimidated by them.
So maybe to get over the nerves, think of it too as not so much that they're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing that grade level or that subject area or that group of kids.
You're seeing what you like.
To see what fits with you.
Yeah, and get used to being in front of people. I'm amazed how many teachers, like we do a teacher talent show every year, how hard it is to get them to perform. I'm like, you guys are in the performing industry. Don't you know you're actors? Like, so be willing to be in front of people, you know, and if you're nervous to go into a classroom, do something that gets you in front of people in any capacity there is. And get yourself used to that, because you've got to understand that is important. There are a lot of teachers that go through all the schooling and then are like, oh, I don't like being in front of people. I'm like, wow, you picked the wrong job. You know?
This is true.
That's what we do.
Well, Jasmine, we're going to turn a little bit to more specifics regarding how you prioritized your schedule. Someone wants to learn from the way you organized yourself, girl.
Again, well, I started in the summer, but I would say just jump in, because I could have started a long time ago. And I bought a calendar, and then I said, okay, this first week, I'm going to finish this course. By this second week, I would have read this many chapters. And so I went through the syllabus and I marked it out on my calendar. And some weeks I was like, well, okay, that didn't happen, let's push this back. But I marked the weeks and what I was going to accomplish, and I just stuck with it. And again, I had the summer off, so I mean, if I said I was going to finish a course in 1 week, it was taking 8 hours a day for that week. But I found that when I put it into doable chunks, that I felt like I could do it. And I
Which Western Governors helps you do. I mean, they have the whole schedule there for you. They help you figure that out.
Yeah,
So if
it's
you're not
laid out.
naturally good at that, Western Governors helps you figure
yeah, so
that
I
out.
can walk you through it. It's great.
Well, here's a question for both of you. When you did your master's, did you go directly after your BA, or did you teach first and then go back?
Okay, so I've been teaching 15 years, and I almost went and got my master's in 2007, decided to have a baby instead because I thought it was easier, which I've already established is not, and I have always regretted it. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I would have gone to a regular university then. I didn't know about Western Governors at the time, and I'd probably still be in debt from that. But I think if I had known about Western Governors 15 years ago, if I had gotten my master's, I would still say do your first year. Don't do your master's your first year. You're just looking for punishment. I really think you should have at least 1 year.
Yeah.
Do you think? But man, I think of all the money I could have made those 15 years. You know, more if I'd been paid for having a master's. I just thousands of dollars. So if I wish I'd done it before I had kids, you know, and then when my kids were little, I probably could have done it with my kids really little. When I was getting my master's, my children were, I think, five. I have 5-year-old twins and a 7-year-old. But my husband was not in school, so he could kind of help out with that. But yeah, I do wish I'd done it earlier. I would have been a better teacher longer if I'd done it earlier.
Okay.
But it was still just as valuable to do it
All
later.
right.
But I would say do it earlier than later.
Take some
Any
time.
day. Do it
Yeah.
now. Do it. Just get it done.
Well, we need to wrap up here, but first, we have Rhett, who's going to announce our swag bag winner.
Yes, we have a winner. Here's the bag we'll be sending to you. And drum roll, please. Susan Tompkins is the chair giveaway winner.
That was such
You did it. You're so good at that.
You did it, Susan.
What a group. Well, thank you, each of you. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. Megan, Jasmine, Lorenza, this has been a blast. I hope we would get a chance to do it again, but if we don't, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your enthusiasm, for your honesty.
Thank you.
And what this is about.
We're all best friends now.
I know.
Yeah, we're all best friends.
Yep, selfie time. Okay. If we didn't get to your questions, we will answer them in the comment section afterwards, so make sure and check back with us. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to another opportunity in the future. Bye-bye.